Thanks for staying with us tonight. Continuing our team coverage, evening anchor Linda Jackson talked with Michael Wolf, professor and political science department chair at PFW this afternoon, to get his reaction to today's history-making news.
History-making news indeed. Professor Wolf is with me right now, and thank you so much for your time.
Great to be here.
Big news today. Did you see it
Huge.
coming?
Sort of. You know, I mean, the slow drip. It's been 3 weeks since that debate, and nothing has turned around, and I think, you know, there was no way to get out front of this. So it just seemed that this was the direction it was going, with more and more people coming out.
Given that, is it the move the president should have made, in your opinion?
It's hard because, you know, there's a political component, then there's a presidential component, and we have kind of merged those two things. The skills of being president, all of the indications are there that he was able to still do that. But the campaigning component of re-election, clearly, you know, given the debate and given the responses, wasn't moving that direction. So there's two roles here. Running for re-election, clearly there was, you know, the tread was pretty bare, but the presidential part, you know, he's still in that role, and all indications and all the background indicate that he's, you know, handling all that component fine.
He's endorsing his vice president to take over the job eventually. But the Democratic National Convention is next month, so it's not set in stone that Vice President Harris will become the nominee. We have to still go through this process, right?
Right. The bound delegates he's releasing, so the convention can be like, you know, as it used to be going back to 1828 through 1968. So it's an incredibly, you know, fraught moment in a lot of ways. And because of this, Ohio's deadline for the nominee won't be in time, and so Ohio will have to be a write-in state, and there's a lot of confusion that's going to happen because of this. It's most easy if she were to be the nominee, true, because the campaign finance and the other components of this, the campaign itself and all of their organization would be tied into directly.
Do the Democrats have enough time to win this?
They do. I mean, it's a close electorate still, and the polls, you know, seems like a huge advantage. In historical context, it's not that big, and we saw the fact that being incumbent's not easy sometimes because, particularly in this party, those on the left that are critical of their stance on Gaza don't have the energy. We'll see with the new nominee if that energy comes back, and also the narrative is going to change here because, in a sense, this has been a race between two older white people, and that might change dramatically. The younger generation clearly hasn't bought into this contest, and we never know quite. They're not as reachable through normal media and through normal other patterns of past outreach. So, you know, what happens now with an potentially energized younger movement, who the vice presidential pick it would be, and how that balances a ticket for a party that's sociodemographically much more of a coalitional party and has more divisions. So there's a lot of things yet to be decided, but I mean, 7 million more votes in 2020, so there's a lot of room there.
We always say it, so many layers. And lastly, Michael, 6 more months, give or take, left in Joe Biden's presidency.
Right.
Will he be effective during that time as a leader?
Well, he might. You know, there's a lot of things you can't do when you're running for election. Some things you can say as president, maybe, that aren't. We'll see what happens in Gaza or Ukraine if he is, you know, he's unchained and able to not worry about re-election, but worrying just about governing. So there is potentially some things that can be done, and he's going to be under the radar here. A lot of what he's going to be doing are not going to be showing up on the nightly news when they're covering the election. Yeah, so really, we'll see. Particularly, we'll see what happens with the Israeli-Gaza situation, if there's a broader peace deal and some of these things that seem to have been in the works before what happened on October 7th, but might be put back together.
Always appreciate your insight.
Great to be here.
Thank you for your time.
You bet.